So this is your Unit 5 test review. I'm going to try this again because I got halfway through and then everything decided to crash. So praying it doesn't happen this time. Alright, number 1. It says given f of x is equal to 3x minus 2, find the range value if the value of the domain is 4. What you can do on problems like this to help you out is you can write down your little xy, your ID of the doctor. Okay, so domain is x and range is y. So what we're going to do here, since my range is y, I'm going to put a y above it. Domain is x, I'm going to put an x above it. Okay, so it says that we need to figure out what my range value is. And you may look and see that I have a y written down, but there's not a y in the problem. Well, if you remember, f of x is the same thing as y. So we have y equals 3x minus 2. Okay, and we know x is means equals and x is 4. So all we're going to do is just plug that in. So since I'm plugging it in, my x is 4. So everywhere I see an x, we're just going to plug in 4. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 minus 2 is just 10. Alright, number 2, you're given the same equation. Find the domain, so we're looking for x, when your range is 4. So this time, since f of x is the same thing as y, okay, we're going to replace that y value, f of x, with 4. And we are going to solve for x. All it is a simple two-step. If I subtract 2, I'm going to add 2 to both sides. That crosses out. 4 plus 2 is 6. You got to get x by itself, so we're going to divide both sides by 3. And 6 divided by 3 is just 2. Alright, number 3, which of the following does not represent a linear function? We're going to do our slope, our change in y over change in x, to see if we have a constant rate of change. So my x's over here, they are going up by 1s. My y's, they are going down by 1. So we're going to put a minus 1, a minus 1. So if I do my change in y over change in x, that's negative 1 over 1. So that's just going to be negative 1. Since we do have a constant rate of change, this will not be an answer because it's saying it's not linear. B, my x's are going up by 2's. My y's, they are also going up by 2's. Change in y over change in x. Change in y is 2. Change in x is 2. 2 divided by 2 is just 1. So here I have a constant rate of change, so that's not going to be the answer. For C, my x's are going up by 5. 0 plus 5 is 5. 5 plus 5 is 10. My y's are going up by 25. 0 plus 25 is 25. 25 plus 25 is 50. Change in y over change in x, that's going to be 25 divided by 5. And that's just 5. So again, here we have the constant rate of change. So that's not the answer. Alright, so we're going to work through D. My x is here going up by 1s. My y here, it's going down by 2. So I'm going to put a minus 2. And then it's going down by 1, so I'm going to put a minus 1. You can't do your change in y over change in x because if you did, you're going to get 2 separate answers. Negative 2 divided by 1 is negative 2. Negative 1 divided by 1 is negative 1. So here, this is not a constant rate of change, which means it's not linear, so that will be your answer. Alright, number 4, if the domain of the function f of x is equal to 3x plus 1 is restricted to negative 2 is less than x, less than or equal to 2, what is the range of the function? So again, if you want to write down either the doctor, you can. We know domain is x, that's why we have an x right here in the middle, because they're giving us our domain. And now we got to find the range, which is our y values, okay, for this function. Remember, f of x is the same thing as y, so all we're going to do is plug in negative 2, get an answer, plug in a positive 2, and get an answer. So when I plug in negative 2, that's going to be 3 times negative 2 plus 1. 3 times negative 2 is a negative 6. Negative 6 plus 1 is a negative 5. We also have f of positive 2. So 3 times 2 plus 1. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. Okay, all we're going to do where we boxed in negative 2 and 2, we're going to replace that with our answers now. So when we plugged in negative 2, we got negative 5. keep your same inequality, less than or equal to. Instead of x, we had to find the range. Range is y, so we're going to place that with y. Less than or equal to. When we plugged in a positive 2, we got 7. So this right here is going to be our answer. All right, number 5. We're going to simplify the expression. Okay, it's called an expression because there's no equal sign here. We have 50 minus 3 times 5x plus 3 minus 12x. We have one set of parentheses, so we're going to distribute this negative 3 to the 5x and to the 3. So I'm going to go ahead and just bring down 50. Negative 3 times 5x is negative 15x, and negative 3 times a positive 3 is negative 9. And I'm going to go ahead and bring down this negative 12x. Okay, last thing we're going to do is combine like terms. So I have a negative 15x. I have a negative 12x. When you combine those, you can type negative 15 minus 12, negative 15 plus a negative 12. You can do your scoreboard. You have 15 negatives and 12 negatives. So you have 27 negatives total. However, you do it just as long as you get the correct answer. So we have negative 27x. And then we have 50 and minus 9, or negative 9, left over. So 50 plus a negative 9, 50 minus 9. You can do your scoreboard, whichever. When you do that, though, you'll get plus 41. So you can see your answer written this way. Or they can flip-flop it and say 41 minus 27x. That is still the correct answer. All it is just flip-flop the two. All right, number 6. So it says the table below represents a set of values of a function for x and y. Write the equation. So we're going to go ahead and get our calculator. The easiest way to do this is to go to Stat Edit. Hopefully this does not freeze on me like the last 2 times I've tried this. So your L1, those are your x values. So we have negative 3. And then we have negative 1. And then we have 1, 3, and 5. In L2, those are my y values. We have 15, 5, negative 5, negative 15, and negative 25. Alright, so once you have that, you just go Stat, over to Calc. We want number 4, and you just hit Enter all the way until the very end. And so we have y equals, a is what we use for m as slope, negative 5x plus my y-intercept is 0, so I don't even have to write down that part. So all we have is y equals negative 5x. So y equals negative 5x will be our answer. Alright, number 7, what's the equation for the line that contains the points 0, 1, and 6, 5? Okay, so again, we can make our table. In the xy table, we have 0, 1, and 6, 5. If you notice, you already have your y-intercept. So when we write the equation, we have y equals mx plus b. We already know b is equal to 0 over 1. You can go ahead and do your slope. Change in y over change in x. Okay, if you notice that your change in y here, you're going up by 4. Change in x, we're going up by 6. You can type that in the calculator and hit math and enter, or you can just see that 4 over 6 will reduce to 2/3. So you know that your slope is 2/3. So we know y equals 2/3 x plus 1. And if you completely forget all this stuff on your test, or you're not sure and you want to check, you can always go in Stat Edit, type these in, hit math and enter. And you'll see, though, when you get 2/3, it's going to come out to 0.666667. Remember, you can type that in all the way across the screen, hit math and enter, and it will give you that 2/3. Okay, number 8. Make sure you read this problem very, very carefully. So we have Jeff's Paint and Body Shop charges a cleanup fee of $45 plus $25 for each quarter. Make sure you notice that's bolded hour of work. James wrote an equation using T, the total cost of getting his car repaired, as a function of H, the number of hours the repair took, and the cleanup fee. Write the equation, and then what is the value of the slope in this equation, and what does it represent? Okay, well, we're going to write an equation using T and using H. So T is my total cost, so I'm going to go ahead and start with T. That's going to equal to, no matter what, you have a cleanup fee of $45. No matter if they're there for 10 hours, 40 hours, it doesn't matter. You're going to have to pay that $45. So we're going to put 45. It says plus, now here's where they're going to try tricking you. You have $25 for each quarter of an hour, but our H here is going to represent a total hour. So we need to figure out if it's $25 for a quarter of an hour, how much money is it for 1 hour? Well, all we have to do is 25 times 4, and we end up getting 100. So it's going to be $100 per hour. So what's the value of the slope? Okay, and what does it represent? So my slope here is this 100, because that's something that has to go over and over and over again, whereas 45s are one-time fee. So my slope here is equal to 100, and what that represents, what we're going to write down, is they charge $100 for an hour of work. So if they come in for 2 hours, you have to pay $200 plus the 45. If they come in for 5 hours, they would charge you $500 plus that 45. Okay, number 9, the school rented a 75-foot ladder truck to replace the lights of the football field. The rental company charges a one-time rental fee of $50 and $24 per hour to rent the truck. Write an equation that represents the cost of renting the truck Y as a function of the number of hours the truck will be rented X. All right, so function, that means we're going to write our equation. We have Y equals, okay, just read the problem. You have a one-time rental fee of $50, so we're going to write down one time. And that means we're going to add on to that $24 per hour. Well, we don't know how many hours are going to be out there working, so we're going to put X because it tells you here. X represents the hours that the truck's going to be rented. The next question says, well, how much is it going to cost if we want to rent that truck for 3 hours? So we're going to plug that in. You got to pay $50 no matter what, $24 per hour, and they're out there for 3 hours. So you can type that in the calculator, and it'll come out to $122. All right, number 10. So we have a computer technician charges $60 per hour plus a $45 charge for a service call. What is the y-intercept of a graph of the function? Well, we're just going to write our equation. We have y equals, okay, this technician does $60 per hour, so we're going to have 60. Now, we don't know how many hours he's going to be out there, so we're going to call that X, plus $45 charge for a service call. So no matter how many hours they're out there, we have to pay them $45. Okay, well, if you notice, this is y equals mx plus b. It's in slope-intercept form. It's asking for your y-intercept. That's b. So that just matches up right there with 0.45. Whatever your one-time fee is, that's always your y-intercept. Okay, number 11. This is the table below lists corresponding x and y values of a linear function. What equation represents this function? There's two ways you could do this. You can find your slope by doing your change in y over change in x. You notice you already have your y-intercept, so it should be whichever one says a plus 1 at the end of it. Or another easier way to do this is to put it in stat edit. So we go to stat edit. Please don't freeze on me. And it froze on me. Okay, well, you'll do just like we did last time. You're going to go to stat edit, and in your L1, you'll put your x values. So you'll type in -3, -1, 0, 2, and 3. In L2, your y values, -11, -3, 1, 9, and 13. And then all you have to do is hit stat, go over to calc, hit the number 4, hit enter, and the equation, it should come out to y equals 4x plus 1. And that my y-intercept does match with that. Is it linear? Yes, it is. You notice that because you have a slope here of 4, or you can go through and do your change in x, your change in y, and notice that when you do change in y over change in x, you're going to get 4 every single time. All right, number 12. Chase wanted to save his earnings to buy a used car. He already owes his brother $105. He earned $135 per week and saved it all. The equation modeled the situation would be y equals 135 times x minus 105, where y equals total amount saved and x equals the number of weeks. If Chase decides to only save $100 of his earnings each week, how will this affect the time it takes Chase to reach his goal? Write the new equation. Well, if he decides to save only $100 of this instead of 135, he's not putting up as much. If you're not putting up as much in your savings, what's going to happen is that it will take longer for Chase to reach his goal. So that's what what we're going to write. So it will take longer for Chase to reach his goal. Okay, write the new equation. Well, he still is going to owe his brother $105, no matter how much he decides to save. So we're still going to have that minus 105. The thing that changed is instead of saving 135, he's only saving 100 of that. So this is what's going to change. So when we write the new equation, we have y equals 100x minus 105. All right, number 13. We have the sum of three consecutive odd numbers is 81. What are those three numbers? So for this one, it's in your journal if you need to look back and refresh your memory. This is where we do the x's and the numbers table. And down here at the bottom, we have our total sum. So remember your keyword is odd. The form that we use is x plus 2, x plus 4. So we have 3x plus 6. The sum of those numbers is 81. So remember your total sum goes down here at the bottom. So I have the equation 3x plus 6 is equal to 81. So we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. That crosses out. We have 3x is equal to 81 minus 6, 75. Divide both sides by 3. We'll end up getting x is equal to 25. Now that's not your answer because it's asking for the three consecutive odd numbers. So x is 25. Then we're going to add 2 to get 27. Then we add 4 to 25 to get to 29. So my three consecutive numbers would be 25, 27, and 29. Okay, number 14, what is the effect on the graph of changing the equation y equals 0.5x plus 4 to 0.5x minus 5? If you notice, your slope is the same, so that's not what's going to change. What's going to change here is this y-intercept. You went from a positive 4 to a negative 5. You can put this into y equals in your graph, and look at your graph to see what happens. Or since you know that it's your y-intercept that's changing, you can just do a little sketch. So you're up here at 4, and then you went all the way down here to negative 5. So since you went from 4 to 5, the direction that you're moving is down. So we can say the graph shifts down. And then we have to count how many units we went down. So if you're up here at 4 and we're going down to negative 5, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it shifts down 9 units. All right, number 15, what's the slope of the linear equation x equals negative 4? Graph that equation. Since it's an x equals, you cannot put that in your calculator because your calculator only says y equals. So if it's x, that means it has to go through this x-axis. To go through it, it's going to be a line that goes straight up and down. Now, where are we going? Well, it's saying it's negative 4. So right here, we have to go right through x equals negative 4. So my line's going to go straight up and down. Trying to make this straight as I can. And when we look at this, it's asking what's the slope of this line. Well, the slope, since it's straight up and down, is going to be undefined. So m equals undefined. And just to refresh your memory, a line that goes this way, okay, remember the slope of this line is 0. Those are your two important ones. So if it said y equals 4, that would look like this. Your slope of a horizontal line is 0. If it's vertical, it's undefined. Okay, number 16, write the equation y equals 6x minus 2 in standard form. Okay, standard form is where it's ax plus by is equal to c. So x and y have to be on the same side. So I'm going to go ahead and move this 6x on over. If it's positive, it's going to become negative. So I have negative 6x plus y is equal to negative 2. You need to check for no-nos. So you look at the coefficient in front of x. It's a negative. That's one of our no-nos. Remember your two no-nos, no negatives, no fractions. To get rid of this, we're going to multiply everything in here by a negative 1. So we end up getting 6x minus y is equal to 2. All right, number 17. Okay, it says write the equation 5x minus 2y is equal to 14 in slope-intercept form. So this is y equals mx plus b. Okay, so this is where you have to do your exciting move and your great divide. So I have a negative 2y is equal to, if it's positive, when you move them over, it's going to become negative plus 14. Your great divide is dividing everything in here by negative 2. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is just 1, so you get 1y is equal to. Now I would show you, but my calculator here it's still frozen. You can type in negative 5 divided by negative 2. Hit math and enter. It will reduce it for you. That's just going to come out, though, to 5 over 2. Then you have an x. And 14 divided by negative 2 is a negative 7. So we have y equals 5 halves x minus 7. Okay, number 18, given the two scenarios below, which one is linear? So here's your first one. Chris charges $8.50 per X hours and a $5 trip charge to babysit. Write an equation to show how much she charges. So we have y equals, it's $8.50 per hour plus a $5 trip charge. Okay, this is in your y equals mx plus b format, slope-intercept form. So this here is going to be linear. Scenario number 2, Maggie has $120 to divide evenly among her X number of children. So y equals 120 divided by X. When you're dividing by X, you can put this in y equals and look at your graph or your table. You'll notice there's no constant rate of change. It's not a straight line. This one here is not linear. So which one is would be the first one. Okay, number 19, solve the equation. 4x plus 3 is equal to 2 times 12 minus 3x. So I have a 2 out here that I have to distribute since I have that set of parentheses. So I have 2 times 12 is 24. 2 times negative 3x is negative 6x. And then I have 4x plus 3 I can bring down. We got to get x's on the same side, so I'm going to go ahead and move this lovely negative 6x over here. So if it's a minus, make it a positive. Add 6x. It's my 0 pair. 4 plus 6 is 10. Don't forget your x. Plus 3 is equal to 24. Once you have this, it's a simple two-step equation. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. So I have 10x is equal to 24 minus 3 is 21. Divide both sides by 10. And in this case, we're going to leave it as a decimal. And when you type that into the calculator, it comes out to 2.1. Now, I would show you if my calculator wasn't frozen. We're going to check this because sometimes you'll get a decimal and think you're wrong, but when we plug it back in, it will come out correctly. So you would type in 4 times 2.1 plus 3. Okay, and that will give you a number, and whatever answer that is, it's going to equal to 2 times 12 minus 3 times that 2.1. Okay, so when you type this part in, that's going to give you the same answer as if you were to type this part in. And since those two came out to be the same, that's how you know that your answer here is correct. Make sure you check your answer. Make sure you check your answer. Make sure you check your answer on your test. All right, last one, number 20. If x comma negative 5 is the solution to the equation 2x plus 4y equals 26, what is the value of x? Okay, you can label this x and y. So we know that my y is negative 5. So that's what we're going to plug in. It's just negative 5. So we have 2x plus 4 times that y value is negative 5 is equal to 26. All right, well, we have 2x. 4 times negative 5 is a negative 20. Is equal to 26, and now you have a simple two-step equation. Add 20 to both sides. That crosses out. We have 2x is equal to 46. Divide both sides by 2, and you'll get x is equal to 23. Now, just because you have an answer does not mean that you're finished. You need to go back and plug it in and check it. So you have 2 times x. We just showed that x is 23. Plus 4 times my y, which is negative 5. When you type that into the calculator and hit enter, it comes out to 26. And that's correct because that's what it's supposed to come out to. So that's how you know that your answer here is correct. Alright, so if you have any other questions, you can come ask one of us and we will